case of the Middle East, the situation with Israel. But before
Mhm.
going there, Larry, here is what Kash Patel said about the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Did he write a written note before the assassination attempt? That's what the governor said yesterday. And what did that say? If you could
So what
share
I'm
that
able
with
to
us.
say, I'm sorry. So what I'm able to say is I addressed it partially earlier. Is that the written note we believe what did exist, and we have evidence to show what was in that note, which is, and I'm going to summarize, basically saying the suspect wrote a note saying, I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk, and I'm going to take it. That note was written before the shooting. Evidence of its existence, we now have learned, existed before the shooting, was in the location in the suspect and partner's home. But we have since learned that the note, even though it has been destroyed, we have found forensic evidence of the note, and we have confirmed what that note says because of our aggressive interview posture at the FBI.
So,
The guy is so amazing explaining what has happened. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, no, look, um, uh, while you and I are talking, uh, Max Blumenthal is talking to Judge Napolitano, and he's got some breaking news with respect to the whole Israeli, the Zionist angle on this. My own hypothesis, what I think that they will uncover, is that Mossad officers used a cutout to convince these transgender activists, to inspire them, to help them, to encourage them to kill Charlie Kirk. So that, to try to distance Israel from it, but to still same time take him out, because Kirk was starting to represent a threat to the Zionists. They had funded him. And, there's no denying that until recently, that Charlie was seen as fully on board and supportive of everything that Israel was doing with respect to the Palestinians. But, those who continue to judge him harshly, and judge him in a way that's very harsh, and to express such vile hatred towards him, I really have a problem. I'm not some Charlie Cook fanboy. I really, I didn't follow him much, but what I did follow is this. I never saw him yelling at somebody, person of color, whoever. I never saw him using ad hominem, calling them names. I did see him correctly calling out people like Van Jones, because, when that poor Ukrainian girl was stabbed to death in North Carolina, the guy that stabbed her said, I got me a white girl. And Charlie commented on that. He says, if that had been reversed, if you had a white guy walking around saying, got me a black girl, that would have created a firestorm in the media. Absolutely. That's what he said. And Van Jones attacked Charlie as being a racist for saying that. The problem I see with the anger that was directed at Kirk was just off the charts. He was, they compare him with the Nazis. The people that say that, they're just stupid. They haven't read history. They don't know the history of what it was with the brown shirts and the communists fighting in the streets of Berlin and München and Stuttgart and other places in Germany back in the 1929, 1930, 32. So, to lump Charlie Kirk in with those kinds of people, where his basic shtick was, hey, tell me that I'm wrong, and would engage in dialogue and back and forth. Now, and people say, well, that's hate speech. Well, good God. Again, anybody that takes that position, I think you're a moron. So, yeah, I'm doing what Charlie Kirk wouldn't do. He wouldn't call you names. I'm calling you names. Because if you take that kind of position, you're so completely divorced from reality. So, this was, I think they're going to find out that this was not just Tyler Robinson, I think that's his name, who got all upset because of the things that Charlie said about he believed in God and that God created male and female, not he, they, it, male and female. And that's why I wanted to kill him. But there is at least the reports that are coming out, if true, indicate that there was a broader communication on these transgender black sites talking about that this was going to happen. A lot of people knew it was going to happen. It was being coordinated. It was encouraged. It was planned. So, this is really creating it. This division has existed in the United States. I just personally didn't realize it was this deep and this disturbed.
I think looking at the Trump administration, those people, even J.D. Vance was talking about this is a fight between left and right and radical left. There is something beyond that happening.
Yeah, I agree with you.
They want to to wrap it up in something else, to sell it to everybody, because we know this division between left and right and how they try to fight each other. They're trying to hide something behind it. And looking at, I don't know if you saw the interview that Charlie had with Ben Shapiro 48 hours before.
Yeah, I've seen a portion of it.
Yeah. He asks Ben Shapiro, why are we allowed to criticize everything in the United States, but the position on Israel? Why we cannot criticize Israel? Ben Shapiro, he changed his face. What is he talking about?
Yeah. But that's true. It is one of those things that to try to raise it as a discussion, you get accused of being an anti-Semite. You saw that Brian Mast, this congressman from Florida, who got his legs blown off because he's a very bad bomb tech in the Army. He's careless. He is proposing legislation to strip American citizens of their citizenship if they criticize Israel. Hey, you want to do that? You who fought for Israel, you go to Israel. Go there. See if you can get some more parts of your body blown off if that's your thing. But don't drag us into it. We're Americans. And this concept of America first is that Trump has pushed. Yeah, that resonates. Just like in Russia first, not some other country. China first. Brazil first. Mexico. If everybody under that approach thought of themselves first, did what was in their own best interest to improve the welfare of their people, I guarantee you the world would be a lot better off. Instead of we're going to do what's in the best interest of this other country over here, even though it screws our own people. Look at what's happened with Germany. In order to screw Russia, they allowed the United States to blow up the Nord Stream pipeline, therefore savaging German industry. And the German people are suffering. Instead of the German chancellor saying, no, you're not going to destroy the pipeline. And if we choose to have an economic relationship with Russia that you don't like, too damn bad. Leave us alone then. And close all your friggin' military bases in our country. That's what Germany could have said, but they didn't. So, a lot of these problems we see right now that are with threatening to turn into hot wars or already are hot wars, or because countries put their own people and their own interests second and third, and they pursue the interests of some foreign power to the detriment of their people.
I think what you've said is something psychological, Larry. It goes to the basics. If you love yourself, then you're capable of loving other people as well.
Right.
And somehow the nationalism, it's going to that concept. If you love your country, you're able to understand that other people would love their country as well. That's why you may find a common ground to work with the other people instead of otherizing people, instead of making, and they're different from us. Yeah, they're different because they're They're Brazilians, you're American. But after all, you're human beings. You can come, you can work together, you can find a common ground to work on. But before loving yourself and your country, I think you're not capable of giving love or loving any other nation, any other people.
Well, it's the same. Have you ever known a person that actually hated themselves, and because of that hatred of themselves, engaged in all sorts of self-destructive behavior, whether it's alcoholism, excessive smoking, drug abuse, bankruptcy, not saving money, not doing it, not taking care of themselves, not brushing their teeth, getting rotten teeth. Those are not happy people. Those are not people that are doing well in life. So the same principles sort of apply, would argue, and I think you agree, applies to countries. So that when you actually put yourself first, it sounds selfish, but then when you get in dealing with another country that's putting themselves first, then that's where the art of diplomacy comes in. You find out what can we agree on, what can we do together that will make us each better off. Because it's not, the world is not built to be just a zero-sum game that I win and you got to lose. That's what we're facing right now with this this attempt to accommodate the interests of certain other countries. And unfortunately, Israel has wielded way too much influence in the United States, and it needs to be curtailed. People who are my age, above the age of 60, grew up in an environment in the United States in which the mythology of Israel presented as little David fighting this mean Goliath, and that it was, we had to support it at any cost, any price, to save them from the nasty Arabs, without any attempt at all to tell the actual story that had taken place of the Nakba and the murder of hundreds of thousands of Arabs and the incarceration and imprisonment of tens of thousands of Arabs and Muslims and Christians. To try to portray that this is just a Muslim versus Christian or Jewish thing. No, it's not. No, the Palestinians are not just one monolith under Islam. The Israelis have done an effective job over the last 50 years of driving the Christians out. Christian Palestinians have had an option, but the Muslim Palestinians have not. And so that's why there's now more Muslims in the area. But this constant promotion of murder of the Palestinian people is something now that's starting to create a real problem for Israel. Finally,
Larry, how did you find the summit, the Islamic Arab summit in Doha? A lot of countries went to the summit, and they're trying to give a message to Israel, to Netanyahu, and I would assume they want to say something to the United States as well.
Well, if what they said at that conference was turned into action, it was a miracle. I've actually, I said tongue in cheek with the judge, but that this was actually a secret plan by Donald Trump, another part of his secret plan to win the Nobel Peace Prize, because he gets to go say, look, I brought Syria and Iran together, along with the Saudis and all the other Arab countries and the Jordanians. So, they came together because of me. Yeah, they did, but I don't think you appreciate what they were saying. The fact that al-Jalani, now al-Shara, a radical Islamist, Sunni Islamist, who have spent 15 years minimum attacking and killing Shia and Iranians. They were in the same meeting talking together and agreeing about what was done to Qatar was wrong. Now, al-Shara is playing a bit of a dangerous game because he was put into power by the United States and by Britain. But, I think he also is smart enough to recognize, You can't trust those people. They're not going to have you back. They'll throw you over in a heartbeat. So then on top of that, you had Abdullah of Jordan, King Abdullah. He made some very tough remarks, as did Al Thani, the head of the prime minister, or the lead sultan in Qatar. Same thing from the Emiratis. Same thing from even Azerbaijan was there, of all things. So this brought together the Arab, Muslim, Shia, Sunni world. I don't think we've seen anything like it, actually. I think that this has been I'd want to ask Alistair Crook. He's much better at remembering these kinds of dates. But this kind of gathering and the tough statement, they didn't have problems coming up with a statement. It was tough, directed at Israel. And then here you got Bibi Netanyahu saying, "Oh, they're all just a bunch of anti-Semites." No, you're a murderous son of a bitch, is what you are, and they're calling you out.